So I'm Aynaz Bozorgzadeh with Technical Safety BC. I'm Senior Advisor to Climate Change, and my colleague Marcy is handing out some swag, and my colleague Dave is in the back as well. I have been tasked to identify climate safety risk from extreme weather interaction with the technical systems that we regulate for the province. And so I'll start by saying just very briefly about who Technical Safety BC is, as many may not be familiar with it. And my colleague Marcy has an in-depth presentation overview of who we are and what we do at 2 o'clock. So hopefully we'll have more in the audience then to learn about who we are. But I'm going to focus my presentation on really examples of climate-related incidents that we've been documenting, what our climate resiliency program is, and how we're trying to do risk assessment kind of on what potential safety hazards may be from extreme weather interaction with technical systems, and a project that we're partnering on. So Technical Safety BC oversees safe installation and operation of technical systems and equipment across the province. And when I say technical systems and equipment, that includes electrical, gas, boiler pressure vessel refrigeration systems, and elevating devices would be the ones that fall in the built space, and then a few other ones like railways and passenger ropeways and amusement devices as well. So one of the things that we do is whenever there is an incident that happens by failure of a technical system or by safety interaction of a technical system with public safety, we investigate those incidents. So today I'm going to share a handful of climate-related technical safety incidents that were caused by extreme weather situations in our province. So this one is a picture of a home in Crescent Valley, BC in January 2022. Extreme snowfall, excess snowfall collapsed the roof, and that snowfall sliding on the metal roof caused the electrical service mast to bend, creasing the interior copper service conductor installation and resulting in an arc blast that ignited the local combustible material and causing a local fire at the home. Another example is from extreme cold at Charlie Lake in BC the same month in January 2022. The community was experiencing extreme cold below 20 degrees, what they normally experience there in the minus 35 range. And what happened was, unfortunately, individual living in a home did not have adequate heating, obviously, for that extreme cold snap, and they resorted to bringing in equipment that were designed for outdoor use. Large propane tanks, 100-pound propane cylinders, were brought into the home to provide a supplementary heating. One of the tanks had a leak in it and was ignited and combusted and exploded the home, causing extreme burn and throwing the individual that lived in that home out of the home, unfortunately, and completely destroying the home. This is a recent example, very recently reported to us at a school in Agassiz, where I've heard the wind is crazy. And in February 2023, solar panels that were very recently installed on the roof of the school were completely dismantled by the wind blowing through. So wind is a very difficult climate parameter to assess and project for, or to know what to expect for. But an important one, as I know Lytton is considering solar installations, and that's where maybe the local knowledge comes in to know also the wind corridors in the community. This one is still under investigation for us, so I'm curious to find out whether there was consideration of wind in the installation, or was that something that was an oversight that didn't happen. And the final example of incidents, of climate-related incidents that I'll share is just after the heat dome. So in June, we had the heat dome in 2021. As you probably all know and noticed, many people went and purchased portable air conditioning units for their homes to feel more comfortable or in fear of the next heat wave. And this is in a mobile home in Agassiz, in 100 Mile House, where they had installed a plug-in portable air conditioner that vents out of the window. So this is a plug-in unit that's not inspected by us for installation. It's just purchased off the shelf. And what that venting out the window did is that it depressurized the living space. And there was across the hallway, across the living room space, is a fireplace that had a year-round pilot light on that was not maintained properly and malfunctioning and producing carbon monoxide. And under the if the space hadn't been depressurized, that carbon monoxide was going up the flue, but under the scenario of the addition of the AC unit for comfort from extreme heat, the carbon monoxide started getting pulled into the living space and sent 2 individuals to the hospital with carbon monoxide poisoning. So those are a few examples of us over the past 6 months tracking, reviewing the daily incidents that come in and trying to document the ones that may have climate as a contributing factor to see what patterns we can learn from the incidents that are coming in. Now, if we were to learn only from this space, it would be a very long process for us to learn all the different interactions of extreme weather with climate, with technical systems that there are. And so we do ask that incident reporting does happen to us. It is required by the Safety Standards Act, and we will share the slides as well for that link to be shared along. Also, feel free to report incidents historically. It's still worth it for us to document it. It's a really important data source for us to have in documentation of extreme weather interaction with technical systems.
But start blame-free incident reporting.
Yeah. Fully anonymous. It's just for documentation of what's happening so that we can make the regulation and the codes more resilient. Now, that said, we are also bookending that. I'm an engineer, so I couldn't help but have a spreadsheet in my slide deck. We are also doing a workshopping through with our in-house technical colleagues, safety officers, senior safety officers, and technical leaders to document through the components of our technologies in electrical systems, gas systems, boiler pressure vessel refrigeration systems, and what their potential interaction would be with extreme weather, such as extreme heat, wildfires, air quality impact from wildfires, droughts, flood, snow, windstorms, winds and storms, freeze-thaw, power outage. Also, a lot of times the consequence of like the cascading impacts of power outage is something that causes technical complications, sea level rise, and cold snaps. And what we're documenting is the technical vulnerability of the components to these extreme weather components, parameters, and what would be the potential safety consequence of that. So I know ICLR is involved with the PIVC protocol. This is rooted in ISO 31000 and very much inspired by the PIVC protocol in the way we're approaching documentation of extreme weather interaction with technical safety. And we are working on making this work public by way of kind of what are the essences that come out. So that big massive spreadsheet has a lot of comments and a lot of notes and stories that come through the workshops that we're engaging with. And what we're curious about is to kind of share the extracts of it. And I've shared a few examples here, like warming and heat. Whether it's heat dome or just the gradual warming, can be detrimental to electrical technologies, as well as the control system of other technologies like gas and boiler pressure vessel refrigeration systems. And how this relates to the building code is that oftentimes our technologies live within the built space, and the cooling capacity is provided for via the building envelope and the mechanical systems, the HVAC systems that are serving the building space. And so it is important for those two components to be knowledgeable about each other's resilience or vulnerabilities. And so lack of cooling capacity is not going to cause complications for the electrical systems in the building. I know that we have a keynote at 1, so I'll skip across the other two. And then just a quick touch on a partnership that we have been able to participate in, a multidisciplinary grant that was awarded by the Pacific Institute for Climate Solutions. It's $1 million grant over 4 years, a partnership between Technical Safety BC, BC Housing, First Nation Infrastructure and Housing and Infrastructure Council, and 5 academic partners, SFU, UVic, Waterloo, University of Calgary, and University of Washington, to go into communities, to work with 3 to 5 communities throughout the province in different climate regions with different challenges, to really get the stories on the ground around what is the community's need and vision for safety, for climate safety, and co-develop climate resiliency solutions with communities. So we're in the early stages of this project. It's just been awarded, and our next step is to identify the partner communities. We've just held a workshop with 43 different First Nations and remote rural regions of the province, and looking forward to progressing that. The principal investigator of the project is Professor Nancy Olaweiler with SFU, and she is part of the Climate Solutions Council that was referred to a couple of times earlier, and very well known in BC. And so under her leadership, we will be doing this project and looking forward to co-developing with communities. So really trying to take multifaceted, looking at incident investigations, looking at workshopping through the documentation based on expert knowledge, as well as going into communities and getting their lived experience and perspectives to feed back up into what would be needed for technical codes and regulations to become climate resilient. So with that, I'll leave you my contact. Feel free to reach out, and thank you. Looking forward to seeing you in the keynote.